On the 16th of December 1944, the German army launched a major offensive into the Ardennes region of Belgium and Luxembourg. Striking the thinly held line of the US First Army, the Germans made significant gains during the first few days of their operation, the goal of which was to seize bridgeheads across the River Meuse between Vith and Liege, before striking north to capture the cities of Brussels and Antwerp. For the Western Allies, the scale of the German offensive made it clear that it was more than just a local attack, and from the 17th of December, reinforcements were poured into the Ardennes sector to halt the enemy breakthrough. Among these reinforcements was the British 29th Armoured Brigade, which on the 20th of December received orders for it to move from its present location near Ypres and establish a defensive line along the River Meuse covering the towns of Vith, Dinant and Namur. Moving off that morning, the 29th Armoured Brigade arrived in its area of responsibility on the 21st of December, with the brigade deploying the 23rd Hussars to Vith, the 2nd 5th and 4th Fire Yeomanry to Namur, and the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment to Dinant. Operating under the temporary command of the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment was G Company of the 8th Battalion, the Rifle Brigade, whose post-war history states, "Scenes of the utmost confusion greeted us in Dinant itself. American columns were going first this way and then that way, refugees were beginning to appear on the roads, and rumours of every kind were rife. The refugee problem was getting a little troublesome. The Germans were trying out the 5th column trick again, and we had to scrutinise very carefully everyone's papers." Following its arrival in Dinant, the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment established a defensive ring around the town, with B Squadron and G Company of the 8th Rifle Brigade tasked with holding Dinant and guarding its bridge across the Meuse, whilst A and C Squadrons deployed to the villages of Sourines and Aquin respectively, where they were to link up with nearby American units and act as a forward line for the defence of Dinant. Unfortunately for the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment though, intelligence reports on the situation in the Ardennes were hard to come by, with regimental headquarters receiving only scattered information on the whereabouts of American forces, whilst virtually nothing was known on how far the Germans had advanced. That was until 0200 on the 24th of December, when a US Army Jeep approached a checkpoint manned by G Company on the southern outskirts of Dinant. Driving up to the checkpoint, the 3 occupants of the vehicle ignored British orders to stop, and instead drove on through at speed and raced north into the town. Immediately, the British troops opened fire on the Jeep and sent up a flare to light up the surrounding area, which prompted another British position, sighted a little further up the road, to deploy a string of mines across the path of the Jeep in the hopes of stopping it. The history of G Company continues. Across were pulled the mines. A deafening explosion rent the night air. A Jeep which had refused to stop had been blown to bits, and 3 very dead and shattered Germans lay in the road. They had been riding a captured American Jeep and were wearing American greatcoats over their German uniforms. For the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment, this incident made it clear that the German forces were closing in on Dinant, a fact that was confirmed just 6 hours later at around 0800, when C Squadron at Aquin reported that enemy armoured forces were operating near Conjou. Belonging to the German 2nd Panzer Division, these armoured forces were not only the spearhead of the division, but also for the entire German offensive in the Ardennes. As the 24th of December dawned, their task was simple: move with all possible speed and establish a bridgehead across the River Meuse at Dinant. Moving out from their concentration areas that morning, the Germans soon ran into difficulties when one of their Panther tanks was immobilised by an anti-tank mine near Cellars. Then, at around 0815, elements of the German spearhead came under heavy fire just west of Conjou, as the Sherman tanks of C Squadron opened up on the enemy columns from the area of Aquin, knocking out 1 German Panzer IV in the process. Soon afterwards, with the Germans advancing in strength towards Dinant, C Squadron was pulled back to reinforce A Squadron at Sourines, where at 0925 the Shermans of A destroyed 2 German Panther tanks in the vicinity of Fort Notre Dame. About an hour later, elements of A Squadron moved south to the area of Boissé, where they accounted for a German half-track and a soft-skin vehicle destroyed, in addition to a large number of enemy infantry killed. Over the course of these engagements, the only British loss was a scout car which had to be abandoned at Sourines due to engine failure, although it would later be recovered and restored to working order. By midday on the 24th of December, the actions of A and C Squadrons had successfully brought the enemy advance on Dinant to a halt, and with their casualties mounting and fuel running dangerously low, the German spearhead was forced to consolidate its positions around Fort Notre Dame and await further orders. Believing that the Germans were regrouping to launch a second attack towards Dinant, the headquarters of the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment ordered its units to withdraw to a close-in defence of the town, and by afternoon of the 24th, A Squadron had redeployed to Gemerchen, C Squadron to Loyers, whilst B Squadron and G Company remained in position guarding the bridge across the Meuse. However, to the surprise of the British, the enemy attack never materialised, as the German fuel situation had reached such a critical point that the 2nd Panzer Division was unable to mount a second push on Dinant, with its spearhead effectively becoming stranded at Foy Notre Dame. And so, for the remainder of the 24th of December 1944, the situation remained unchanged, and thanks to the efforts of the British troops of the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment, the German army was stopped just 5 kilometres from the River Meuse, one of the key objectives of their offensive. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe so that you never miss one of my future videos.